Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Thursday, guys. I want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as seasoned. Got a word for you. Tap in. Happy Thursday, guys. I was having a conversation with someone at breakfast this morning. I wanted to piggyback off of this conversation because I think it's so important. That is knowing exactly how God uses you. How God uses you. Now, personally, I believe you get that revelation from having a relationship with God. A relationship. When you have a relationship with God, it's literally a relationship. So he tells you things, right? He pillow talks with you. But then you have a group of people who are still in that mindset that everything is religious based, everything is sanctified, churchy, holy, not knocking it, but their mindset is still locked around certain things, even though you see how the world is shifting, even though you know good and well there are some people you're not going to be able to reach because they're not going to ever make it in the church doors. But yet they still have this mindset that if everything is not religious based, they can't be a part of it. Now, granted, if that's where God has called you to, right? Not religion, not the things that you were programmed to believe, but if you know God have truly called you only to church in the four corners of the wall or church or however they say it, right? And I'm not knocking church, right? I'm not against church, trust me. But I'm just saying, you got some people who are just locked there. You may not reach certain people. Personally, people who are like that religious mindset and they have no type of transparency, I'm blocked. I don't know what it is, but I can't really take to them. In fact, I want to get away from them because it seems very phony, like as if their life has always been perfect and they still don't make any mistakes and that they're still not. I don't know. I don't, that's not my thing. I like very transparent people who can sit and have a conversation like, listen, yeah, I done been there, done that, X, Y, and Z, but God have transformed me, he changed me, but I still struggle in certain areas, but I try every day, blase, 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 blase. That's my type of group of people. If yours are the churchy, holy, everything is religious based and you're going to hell. If you have a glass of wine, you're going to hell. If you look at a black cat and says, I rebuke you, black cat, because I was taught that black cats are X, Y, and Z, like all this foolishness, then by all means, please stick with your group, right? But then there's other people like the conversation I was having this morning, and I know without a doubt I'm so solid in the way that God uses me, and it's so important for people who you feel like God is using you non-traditionally, and you're really worried about, well, if I go here, they're going to say this. If I do this, people are going to say this. Or if I leave church and start trying to do a ministry in this way, I'm going to be judged. Listen, if you're going to be judged, let God judge them. But you can't worry about people. You have to be so locked in with your relationship with God to understand what he is telling you. But most importantly, even when he calls you in certain places or to certain people or certain X, Y, and Z, you got to be so disciplined that you're going to get your downloads properly. This is crucial because if you're not if you're not disciplined enough to whatever that is for you, quiet time, fasting, praying, nature, whatever your form of discipline, or for me, it changes, but whatever that, for example, fasting is not always foods. I know some people believe it is. And if you believe that for yourself, then I respect that truly. But I know for me, is rarely fasting with food. I do get called to food fasting, but I don't know. Food is really not one of those things that I struggle with in the sense of it's after that third day when I start crawling. Those first 2 days, I'm just like, listen, I'm hungry. My stomach is growling. But, that third day, woo, let me tell you. But then there are certain other areas that I struggle with on the first day. So God may instruct me to fast against a certain thing, against a certain person, against certain social medias, whatever. But when I get disciplined and follow the direction of what he's calling me to discipline myself, in that particular area, the downloads are mind-blowing. But if I don't discipline myself and understand what he needs me to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say, then if I go in these places, it's going to overtake me. So you can be called to different places. You just got to know how to make sure you're strategic by embracing, your relationship with God and allowing the Holy Spirit to convict you and move you. And sometimes you may miss it because we're human, right? But trust me, that Holy Spirit will convict you so quick that you will get back to whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing while you're there, right? A lot of people are struggling here. Just from personal conversations I have, as well as, certain emails or whatever, people feel, especially people who are like really raised in church, like 5 days a week, and it's all they know. And they really feel that they've heard from God, and God may be calling them to, I don't know, start a blog site that's not so religious based. I'm just using this for an example, but they feel like their family or their church members or their, I don't know, everybody's going to judge them because it's not so sanctified and holy and things like that. But it's still an area of making sure that God gets the glory, and that it will bring people in from a different view, from different mindsets, things like that. But ultimately, God still gets the glory. But they're very fearful to take that step because of what they think people are going to say. Listen, sis. Listen, bro. I don't care what you're going to do. Trust me when I tell you. I don't care what you do. Good, bad, right? I don't care what you do. People are going to talk about you. People are going to attack you, right? It's just, it is what it is. It is what it is. But you got to be so solid that you can delete and keep it moving. Delete and keep it moving, because I answer to God, I don't answer to you, right? But people are going to talk about you either which way. But if you know that you've known you heard from God, and he's calling you different, because the world is so different now, right? People aren't even really in church anymore. Like, if you feel like he's pulling you in a certain direction, if that is just to go and feed the homeless people every day, because maybe there's going to be some homeless people there who you have to reach, or better yet, they may reach you, because those are some of the most God-loving individuals I've ever met, right? But whatever he is calling you to, just get quiet and ask him, okay, what is this about? Please give me the grace to do it. Give me the grace to not even worry about what people are going to say. Give me the grace to only focus on, this is what you need me to do. Give me the wisdom to understand how to move, when to move, what to say, when to leave X, Y, and Z. Like, again, for example, since you guys like examples, I said this earlier, I think yesterday or the day before in the recording. God sent me to a Halloween party, which I've never celebrated Halloween. I mean, at least not in adulthood. I just don't like, all the different spirits open up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But for the first time in my life, I got convicted to attend a Halloween party. And I was against it at first. But then I believe that, okay, Lord, there's something there. There's something you want me to say. There's something you want me to witness. I don't know what it is, but after being still enough to be sure I'm hearing from you, I'm going to trust you. So after I got still to get my downloads, such as, okay, and this is just an example for my situation. Of course, you take yours and plug in where you want to plug in. But for me, typically, if I'm out, like I said yesterday, I love a glass of champagne, or even two. It is what it is. Rebuke me all you want, church. Let me come to your house, because I promise you, it may not be champagne, honey, but you got some stuff up in there. But again, and I am one of these people who do not believe that drinking is a sin, right? That's completely, drinking and drunkenness is two things, but if that's what you believe, I respect it. Truly, honestly, I do, but I'm going to have my champagne, right? But in this scenario, okay, you're not going to have a glass of champagne because, one, this is Halloween, And two, this particular crowd, even though you're not there yet, right? These are going to be different people. These are going to be different people from the places I typically send you to. There are going to be a lot of new people, and there was, so he was right. And I don't want your spirit to be open up to this, because when you are drinking, it can open your spirit up, right? So I don't want you to drink at all this time. I don't want you to have too much fun this time. I want you to find a corner, and I want you to be still. I will allow the Holy Spirit to direct and to guide you what you need to see, what you need to say, who you need to reach. And as I'm standing in the corner, just watching, clear as day, the Holy Spirit said to me, the reason why I wanted you here, the reason why you can't have your champagne, which I'm not against, but you're not going to have it this time, is because I need you to be so aware. I need you to be keen so you can understand the kind of demons you will be fighting against when I open certain doors. I'm giving you a look of the room. I don't want you to be a part of the room this time. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes there's an assignment and then I get to have a great time. Sometimes I get to have a great time and then later on there's an assignment. But this time, we're only there to observe. So you see the difference? You can't always reject where God is sending you, because you may be rejecting your very purpose and your calling. There are certain things that only you can do. But if you're going to be fearful about what somebody's going to say, well, if I post a picture, they're going to say I was at a party, honey, and having a good time. But what you don't see is this power in the corner, pulling people in one by one, and not beating people over head with the Bible. No, regular conversation that the Holy Spirit will then lead to God getting the glory. So you can be in the middle of a carnival, a middle of a zoo. Whatever your reach is, whatever your assignment is, it's going to find you or you're going to find it. You're called to it. That's why you're there. But if you're so distracted and you haven't been in proper position to understand how God needs you and want to use you, you're going to miss it. And if you miss it because of a lack of discipline, or you're going to deal with the consequences. I wanted to share this. I hope that helps any of you guys who may be struggling with the fact that God may be calling you to different assignments that may not look like, your church with a, never mind. I'm being petty right now. But just trust and understand again that God uses people differently. I'm so blessed because I've always known this very, very, very early on in life, that God He never wanted me to change, because sometimes you have to look like the people that you got to reach. So it just depends on how God is using you. He may want you to be very churchy, religious based, if that's your thing. He may need you there because it's a certain people you have to reach there. But to those of you who you're not called to church or to pulpits respectfully, please know that you can serve God in other ways. But you got to be solid in who you are. So when someone says something to you, you can brush that foolishness. Matter of fact, there was some, I'm sure she's listening, honey, because let me tell you something. People can think that they don't like you, but they're called to you, or you're called to them. So they'll leave you and keep coming back, right? But she was like a huge supporter when I first started my YouTube, as well as my Instagram. And she messaged me. Ironically, it started off as like a little cat fight on her end, I guess, because I ain't got time, right? So with the conference that I had, I think in my hometown in Charleston, South Carolina, I had a conference. I think it was like It was a year, I think, before the pandemic. So it might have been like 2016, 17, something like that. And so at the end of the conference, now mind you, this is a conference. I'm talking about a conference. But at the very end of the conference, I had a live saxophonist, and he was playing with the saxophone. He was solo saxophonist was playing "We Are One," Frankie Beverly and Maze. Frankie Beverly and Maze. We Are One, honey. The devil used her to message me about, oh, your conference was so nice and X, Y, and Z, but that was very, very ungodly to have Frankie Beverly and Maze being played by a saxophone. Honey, listen. Please don't come for me unless I send for you, because he ain't through with me yet. But by the time I got finished with her, right, in a classy way, in a spiritual way, like, sis, listen, if God calls you to certain gospel music all the time, if you feel like Frankie Beverly and Maze is demonic, that's okay. But you're not going to push that nonsense this way, right? And as time went on, I realized she just as demonic, my spirit have revealed to me, than somebody who may be out here in a party life. But you see, people will focus on you, right? They will attempt to focus on your quote unquote flaws so they don't have to so they can miss their own. So when you got people trying to force you in a certain light, or they're trying to judge you in a certain light, most of these people, if not all, are struggling in certain areas of their lives. But if they focus on you, they don't have to focus on their own stuff. So you got a whole gluttony habit going on over here, right? You got all kind of other stuff going over here, but you worrying about Frankie Beverly and Maze, a concert that blessed over 50,000 around the world. You worried about Frankie Beverly and Maze? Get it together, sis. Get it together. Wrong chick, wrong date. Point blank, period. I hope you guys receive this. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.